Just two more of these left here in the 2017 college football season. Welcome back to Facebook Live as the Cardinals get set to take on Buffalo this week. Head coach Mike Neu joins us as always. You guys come off the road against Northern Illinois, an eventful one in a couple of different ways for you. Kind of give me your overall view of what you took away from it.
Well, Northern Illinois is a good football team, playing very good football in all three phases. We knew that going into the week, and so for us, we knew going into that game, playing at their place, that we were going to have to execute at a high level, avoid mistakes. Got off to a good start, meaning we tied the game up there 7-7. Then we had a missed assignment, gave up a block punt that was returned for a touchdown, a couple of explosive plays, got ourselves behind. There at half, and obviously when you get behind against a good football team, very tough to be able to dig out of that. But I am proud of our guys fighting in the second half. There's a lot of positives to build on. I know the score does not indicate that, but our guys are fighting. We got a lot, some young players that are continuing to develop and do some positive things. We got to build on that, but more than anything else, now we come back home. We got our final two games at home, and we need to send our seniors out the right way and play for pride and make sure that all of our young men know that these guys have laid it on the line and shed a lot of blood, sweat, and tears here for 4 or 5 years, and we need to play for them. We need to honor those guys, make sure that we do everything in our part to make sure we prepare, have a great week of practice, and send those guys out of here the right way with the final 2 home games.
A couple of things I wanted to hit on that were positives for you to take away, and this goes back to the Eastern game also. It seems like the downfield passing game, particularly in play action, continues to be something that we really didn't even see earlier in the season that now you're starting to execute, be it with Khalil Newton, who's been awesome the last few weeks, or Justin Hall as well.
Yeah, and each and every player on your team has different skill sets, and I think Khalil's worked very hard all year long, and so has he been, we've tried to get him dialed up and get him a part of the game plans in the past, and for whatever reason just weren't able to connect on those and or execute them the way we needed to. And so for him, he's worked so hard in practice. It's good to see his hard work pay off. And you see a guy like Drew and a guy like Jack that they've spent some time working with Khalil, maybe early in the year on scout team or maybe in some one-on-ones during the course of practice. But it's good to see that. That's something we can build on every week, because you're right, early in the season, that's the part of our offense are going, but where's the big chunk play down the field? So it's nice to see Khalil connect on some of those, Justin Hall connect on some of those, and we just got to continue to build our package, and those guys got to continue to work hard like they have been in practice.
What impressed you about the play of Drew Plitt again last week? And then walk me through playing Jack in the second half and how Jack impressed you, because he came out that first drive, and after you really struggled moving the ball on the ground in particular, you started to do it in that drive, and he really had a lot of composure to him.
Drew's been efficient. He's done a good job running the offense. The one area where you could say, okay, and I've talked to him about this, I know Joey's talked to him about it, is that, not every single play that you call is going to work, especially from a passing standpoint. There's some times when they win in terms of coverage and being willing to throw it away, avoid the sack, stay out of a negative yardage situation. That's the next step for him. And when you play, the number one defense in the league, which Northern Illinois is right now, we got to make sure that we, more than anything else, emphasize staying out of bad plays. Don't make a bad play worse. And if it's a 3-step or a 5-step, something's not there, don't always feel like you can scramble and get out of it. Just be willing to throw the ball away. We'll play the next play. And so that's where he's got to take the next step. He will. He recognizes that. And that in itself can really help help the guys up front, which, we're playing, a lot of guys are fighting their tail off. We're playing with a different lineup, a lot of times on a weekly basis, but those guys are fighting, and Drew can help with that situation by making sure we throw the ball away.
Jack's playing the second half struck you how?
Yeah, I think, we're down at halftime. Jack, I think, just deserved the opportunity. It wasn't like, hey, Drew has done something here to say we got to pull him from the game because he's really costing us. It was an opportunity really to put Jack in the game. His hometown was not too far from there. He's been the ultimate pro and positive guy, through the time that Drew's been playing, and so I just thought he deserved that opportunity, and maybe he could provide a spark for us there in the second half. And he did a good job coming out, executing that first drive, taking us down the field, leading us to a score. And so I thought he did some good things there in the second half. Obviously, you want to eliminate that interception that was thrown, but we dialed up, and we thought it was worth certainly the risk of a reverse pass there. And he got hit as he was throwing it and ended up in the linebacker's hands. But that's my fault as much as it is Jack's fault. And but I thought he did did some good things and made some impressive throws.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm just going to say it. It's got to be the most laterals by both teams on one play in a long time as well, which was remarkable in the way that it played out. But I want to talk about special teams for you also. And you talked about punting. Where's the struggle been for you guys in the punting game, which has always been so strong here, and really at the beginning of the year was in a good spot too?
Pat Doherty does such a good job preparing our special teams. Nobody works any harder in the meeting room. Nobody works harder in the drills on the practice field. But, the biggest issue that we face and the biggest challenge is when you're a team preparing against us and you see it on tape a week before, 2 weeks before, you've seen it some on tape. Boy, you pin your ears back that much more now to think we can get a block right here. It's been on tape. They've given up a couple blocks, and it was one missed assignment. We didn't get out of our stance quite quick enough, missed a block, which led to missed a block at the line of scrimmage, which ultimately led to the punt block. And so, obviously once that happened, we turned a little bit more to Morgan because he is more of a rugby style. And, when Morgan was in the game, they didn't bring the rush. They knew what to expect at rugby. So we just got to continue to help our guys. And it's tough when you get one on tape like that. And, we lost a lot of guys from last year's squad that had spent a lot of time over 4 years drilling those special teams drills that you take so much pride in. And our guys work hard during the drills. We just got to get it to carry over to the game. And, once they start moving parts up front, that can kind of screw up your count a little bit sometimes when you're in protection. But we just got to continue to perfect the drills in practice, and we'll get that ironed out. We got a little wrinkle this week, and we just got to get that ironed out.
I know you can probably tell me how many freshmen have played for you or started for you off the top of your head, but on special teams in particular, how many freshmen are out there? And that is key to all of that as well, is it not?
Well, there's a lot of them, because, and I can't give you the exact number sitting here off the top of my head, but the majority of our guys that are taking reps on special teams now are freshmen or redshirt freshmen and some sophomores. And so they haven't spent a ton of time. They drill every day, but you're talking about 3 or 4 years of drill work. And that's why you always emphasize that your starters do play on special teams because of how critical those plays are throughout the course of a game. And listen, our guys are working at it, and we're going to get through that tough stretch there. But yeah, it's certainly when you have those punts blocked on tape, that magnifies it, and that gives those teams that you're going against a little more hope that, hey, we can get one here. And those young guys know that they know how important. They're seeing how critical a special teams play can change the outcome of a game. And so we just got to continue to stick with it, emphasize it, perfect the drills in practice, and let those carry you into the game, making sure that you feel confident when you go out to execute.
It's the Buffalo Bulls that come up on Thursday night. I want to talk about their quarterback with you quickly. 6'7" Tyree Jackson, who's kind of been Donovan McNabbified the last couple of weeks. He's been more of a pocket passer now, has scrambled less coming back off the leg injury, but it's worked for him. He threw for 400 yards last week. How has his game changed since he's come back from the injury, and what's good about it?
Well, number one, he makes me feel small. Last year when we played them and I shook his hand after the game, there's not too many guys I feel small next to, but he's a big dude. And so, yeah, I think, maybe it was a good thing for him that when the injury did happen to say, hey, I don't always have to, making plays with my feet, similar to Riley, that hopefully, the injury that he's had now, that maybe when he does come back and you appreciate how important it is to, not every single play, don't feel like you got to make something happen if guys are covered downfield. So, but listen, he is talented. There's not a throw that he can't make. He's very confident in the pocket. He stands tall in the pocket, obviously, as you would expect. And his guys downfield have done a great job of going up, making plays. And their passing game is playing with a ton of confidence right now. And we got to be able to slow him down by getting some pressure on him. Don't let him sit back there in the pocket. He is a big target. So our guys know that winning your one-on-one matchup up front is at a premium this week, especially against a talented pocket passer.
Here's a team on defense that allowed a lot of rush yards last year, and Lance Leipold even said at one point, teams are going to keep doing it until we prove we can stop it, and they couldn't. It's much different this year. What's different about them up front? Because you guys ran the ball really well last season.
We did, and those were some tough yards, and our guys did a good job up front, and we just kept committing to it. And James broke a couple of long ones there, but I think for them they've just become more sound. You don't see the missed tackles. It's led by Khalil Hodge there in the middle, and so he is a good football player. He's got a great nose for the ball. They get their defense lined up where you don't see them with an alignment error, with a mistake that way. Their gap sound, and he's doing a great job of playing from sideline to sideline and eliminating those leaky yardage plays that happened after contact. He's doing a good job of tackling, and as all their guys are. And I think that's the biggest difference. You just see they're more in tune. They're not making mistakes, and they're tackling well as a team.
I want to close things on a parallel here and just kind of get your thoughts on looking at a different program from afar, because Lance Leipold has won 9,000 national championships at the Division III level, comes to Buffalo, goes 5-6 in his first season, or 5-7 in his first season. Last year, his second season, goes 2-10. This year is in the hunt for bowl eligibility coming down the stretch here. You came in here last year. You guys won 4, probably could have won a couple more. Here you are right now sitting with 2 wins with 2 to play, and they were in the same situation. They led the conference last year in starting freshmen and newcomers, similar to what you guys are in. Is it a weird, I don't know if deja vu is the right word, but do you kind of look at what he's been able to do in Buffalo as something of a model of how you want to build a program in this conference?
Well, without question, and I have a lot of respect for Lance. Having had the opportunity to get to know him at some of the coaches' meetings and enjoy having conversations with him because of how hard he's worked to try to get Buffalo back on track, and he's done a great job. And yes, they're in the thick of things right now at 4-6, and he's got his football team. They've had to overcome some adversity. They played 3 different quarterbacks this year, and he's done a good job of preparing his guys. And I do have a ton of respect because obviously you could easily say last year, oh, they're down and out. And so he's a fighter, and I appreciate his mental toughness. I appreciate that he's instilled in his football team to weather the storm and continue to work, even though things aren't great right now. If you put the work in, you pay the price, and you continue to stay together. And those are all things that we preach, trying to make sure our guys know that we'll get through this. Yes, it's tough right now, and nobody, deserves a finger pointed at him more so than me. And there's only one guy falling on a sword here, and that's me. But I'm more concerned about our guys staying on that positive path, continuing to work, knowing that we're going to get this turned around. And I do have a lot of respect for Lance and what his staff has done at Buffalo. And yes, they're a great example for us.
Cardinals and Bulls coming up on Thursday night. Mike, looking forward to it. We'll talk to you then.
Yeah, thank you.
Head coach Mike Neu joining us here on Facebook Live. I'd normally say you could catch us tonight for Monday Night with the Red and White, but women's basketball tonight, so we'll see you at Worthen Arena on a packed week for the Cardinals.